I quit writing to-do lists a couple months ago, and it has completely revolutionized how much I actually get done in a day. Hi, my name is Yolande. I'm a dentist, mother, part-time student, businesswoman, and bookworm, amongst so many things. So you can only imagine how long my to-do list is every day. What did I do instead of making to-do lists, you may ask? I started making appointments with myself to get things done. We all have seen that meme of that duck who looks like they're sitting there serene and underneath their feet are like. So I'm going to talk you through how making appointments for your tasks can improve your productivity, reduce your stress, and improve the quality of what you actually get done. So have you ever had a day like this? You wake up in the morning and make a long list, and I mean a long list of all things you need to do: laundry, tax return, book doctor's appointments, and it can have 30-40 points on there, and that's just overwhelming and not realistic to ever get done in a day. So in the past, what I used to do would be to prioritize. So I'd say, okay, I'm going to aim to get these top 10 things done today. However, quite often I would still go to bed that evening without those top 10 things done. Instead of having them on a list, I had them in my calendar, and in my calendar it said 11 o'clock, book doctor's appointment, 12 till 1, study chapter. So it was about looking at my diary, looking at my day, looking at my week, looking at my month, and actually putting all those things that I needed to do, giving them an allocated slot. And then you know they will actually get done. One of the most important ways to make sure you're consistently getting ahead in your goals is to make sure you run your day and your day doesn't run you. Instead of not having a schedule or an outline or a plan for your day where you know what's going to get done. So put it all in a calendar, you say. Sounds easy enough. Not quite. There are actually good and bad ways to use your calendar. I'm just going to go through a couple ways that you can maximize this method. Firstly, be realistic with your time. Don't put something unrealistic in your calendar, because you're just going to get disheartened and not do it again. If you know that, for example, getting through to your doctor takes more than 5 minutes, like we all know what it's like being on hold with the doctors, it's not going to be a 5-minute thing. So you might need to book 15 minutes to book that appointment with a doctor, and know that you've got enough time to get that done. Similarly, if you are studying and you've got a big important chapter that you know you need to kind of get through and study, don't schedule 45 minutes when you know it's going to take you 3 hours. Just don't do it to yourself, you know. Find a time, or more importantly, make the time for things that are important. Now, the second tip is actually also time related. Put a time limit on things as well. Now, things that we have no control over, such as how long you'll wait on hold at the doctor's, you know, it takes as long as it takes, and you have to have a realistic time. But things that you have control over, for example, clean up the living room. I like to do a quick tidy up every day so that we don't live in a constant mess. When you have children, it's just wild. Now, if I just said on my calendar in the evening, clean up the living room, I could be cleaning up the living room for 45 minutes, or I can be cleaning up the living room for 15 minutes. Both of those will result in a clean living room. But actually, if you think about what else you need to get done, it's not realistic for my goals to spend 45 minutes cleaning up the living room. It doesn't need to be that spotless. I just need to have things reasonable. So I know I put down a maximum time that I'm going to spend doing that. So at that time I stop. Whatever it is by that point, I'm just going to have to live with it. So if you don't put a time slot in there, you will be there for 45 minutes or an hour. Tasks take the time they are allocated to, except for things like learning. So don't put that down to learning. But most other tasks, the time that you allocate to them is the time they're going to take. So if it's something you do not want to be spending a lot of time on, do not allocate a lot of time to it. Seems simple enough, but I promise you it will rock your world. So if you want to spend 15-20 minutes tidying up, or doing the dishes, or doing the ironing, allocate 15-20 minutes, and make sure you keep looking at the clock. Put a timer, let it go after 10 minutes so you know you're halfway through the time, and just stick to that time and stop. Number one, set a time, a realistic time, and number two, make sure you finish at that time. The third important thing to do when you are making appointments for your tasks is to prioritize your tasks. Now, this is one thing that I used to do with to-do lists, and it's the same thing with calendar. That the most important things to get done, put those in your calendar first before their allocated deadline. It sounds simple, but I promise you, easy to forget. 80% of our results comes from 20% of our actions. So you need to look at the 20% of things that you need to get done that is going to produce 80% of the results in your life. So it's easy to do all the little things that you want to do for the day, like your ironing or your, I don't know, other things that really are not that important, where there are other bigger things that are usually more tedious to do. But it's important to make appointments for those important, tedious tasks first. I promise you, once you get them out of the way, you'll feel so much better. And if possible, put them as the first task of the day. And one of my favourite books is Eat the Frog. I will put the cover here. And one of the key takeaways I got from that book was to do the worst things first, because then everything else makes so much easier. And at the beginning of the day is when you have the most energy, the most discipline, you're clearest. So get the most difficult and least pleasant jobs done first, so that you're not dreading them later on in your day, because your discipline will just drop as the day goes on. Okay, so prioritize all things you need to do and put the most difficult things first in your diary early in the day if possible, and get them out of the way. So the next important thing to do with using your calendar is to make sure you set reminders. Now, there is no point spending all this time to write everything in your calendar if you don't actually remember to look at it or remember to follow it. And our minds are not computers. They're there to be creative, to think and to do all these things, not to remember everything. And don't rely on your mind to remember everything. Just set a million reminders for everything. For every task that I have to do, a reminder pops up 10 minutes before the task that I have to do, so that I actually get ready to do it. And it's so important to follow your calendar. Now, the final thing to remember with the calendar is that things don't always go to plan. I schedule my study sessions in the evening when the kids are gone to sleep. Sometimes they wake up. So I have a 5-month-old baby, and most of the time she goes to bed and sleep well, but last week she was unwell, so she kept on waking up at night and my study plan just went out the window. But you know what, life is unpredictable and you've got to be adaptable, and that's the benefit of a calendar again, because you can reschedule things. You can look and find out when you've got time to put those tasks in another slot, and you just don't sit there and think, oh my gosh, I didn't get this done, when am I going to do it? You know, you don't get stuck in a ever widening hole, and that is by quitting to-do lists and making appointments for my tasks instead. So if you want to know how that works, stay tuned. So there you have it. That is how quitting to-do lists has completely revolutionized my life. If that's something that you think you're going to do, write down in the comments and let me know how you get on. If you want any other suggestions and tips on how to use the calendar method in your life. If you liked what you heard so far, please like, subscribe, join my world, and I hope to see you at the next video. Have a great day. Bye.